What's up, guys? It's super early in the morning here in California. I'm recording this video at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, why am I up so early? I can't sleep because here in a couple of hours, E3 is going to open up. I'm going to be able to head to the convention center, sit down, and play Call of Duty World War II. And I could not be more stoked about that. But anyway, since I'm up and I can't sleep, I decided to go through the trailer a couple of times. So you guys know, yesterday in the big group reaction video we did, one of the common things we said was, wow, there was so much going on in that trailer. They really showed us a ton of stuff in that trailer, and it was almost hard to take in on the first couple of watch throughs. So I went through, I kind of slowed it down, broke it down a little bit, and I found some really interesting stuff that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think it's some stuff that a lot of people didn't notice, especially on their first couple of times watching the trailer. So we're going to be talking about 10 things you may have missed in the World War II reveal trailer. Now let's start off with some pretty general things that you saw throughout the trailer. Number one is that there was no HUD, and this is really interesting. So usually in these multiplayer reveal trailers, you see the HUD, you see the minimap, you see the kill feed, you see all sorts of stuff like that. In this trailer, there was none of that, which is, I don't know, man, it's weird, it's unique, and I kind of like it. So, I mean, obviously we're going to have an HUD in the actual game itself, but not having it in the trailer is kind of cool. Like, I feel like it kind of draws you in a little bit more, it's a little bit more real, and it just, it focuses on the gameplay. Like, instead of having this overlay with all this information and text and stuff like that, it's just strictly showing off the gameplay, which was kind of cool. And I'm also interested to see what the HUD looks like, because obviously that changes from COD game to COD game, the shape of the minimap and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll find out more today when we see the live stream and the actual multiplayer gameplay. Now, moving on to the next thing, optical attachments. We didn't see anything throughout this entire trailer on any of the weapons, which is really interesting and brings up a huge question. So obviously things like the red dot sight and the holo and the ACOG and stuff like that were not a thing back in World War II. That technology was not developed yet, so those aren't going to be in the game. However, in Call of Duty World at War, we did have something called the aperture sight, which was basically kind of like an old school looking red dot sight, and it was an attachment available for assault rifles and SMGs, and it was actually pretty good. I liked it. However, I don't think that was a real thing in World War II. Like, I did a little bit of research on this just now, and I don't think that was real. I think that was something that Treyarch made up for Call of Duty World at War. So which direction is Sledgehammer going to take on this? Because they have stated they want to stay really true to history, and they're kind of like, you know, writing the book of World War II for a lot of people who are experiencing this crazy war for the first time. Are they going to include some sort of aperture red dot type sight, or are they going to keep it completely out of the game because technically that didn't exist? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. That might be something we get answered today as well, but I found it kind of interesting, and yeah, it's weird. I don't know. A lot of Ironside action for sure. Now, next up, this clip right here is probably the most telling clip of the entire multiplayer trailer. Like, I've watched this through so many times, and it really means a lot, okay? So what we see here is the speed of the game, like the general speed of the game. This guy's got an M1 Garand, which is a, you know, large, high-powered assault rifle, which usually that sort of thing isn't the quickest movement in the game, and you guys can see he's actually moving pretty quick. Like, the aim down sight time looks good, the sprint out time looks good, he's got a lot of maneuverability, especially with this high-powered weapon. So, you know, obviously with boots on the ground, the game's going to be slowed down. We're going to have choke points, and you're going to have to go around buildings instead of over them and stuff like that, so that's going to massively slow down the game, and a lot of people were really concerned that it might be a little bit too so. However, based off of this clip and this clip alone, we can see that in terms of the speed and the handling of the weapons, it looks like it's going to be pretty quick. It's not going to be super slow and clunky. It's going to be, you know, somewhat fast-paced COD action that we know and love, which is really exciting. And this, like I said, this is the most telling, most important clip of the trailer in my eyes. Now, let's get into a little bit more detailed analysis here. Let's take a look at a couple of really important moments in this trailer. So the one that, this is something that you probably saw and a lot of people are talking about, is the dolphin dive. So this happened towards the end. I think it was like 2 minutes and 6 seconds or something like that in the trailer. At first, I didn't think this was a dolphin dive, because in this first little section, he's kind of like diving away from this explosion. So I didn't know if that was an actual dive that he was doing, or if the explosion was ragdolling his body or something like that. But in the second half, when we switch over to first person mode, you guys can see it looks like this is an actual dolphin dive mechanic. I mean, his hand is off the weapon and then it comes back to the weapon and he starts firing. Like, it looks like the dolphin dive is back. here in Call of Duty World War II. And that's interesting. I mean, the dolphin dive is fun. Personally, I like the slide a little bit more. Like, I've really enjoyed it the past couple of years. It just, like, it's super fast paced. It definitely keeps the pace of the game up, and it doesn't take you out of the action as long because it's not this big awkward process of diving onto your stomach. But for World War II, I think the dolphin dive definitely makes more sense. I mean, these soldiers were loaded down with their ration packs and their giant weapons and all sorts of ammo and stuff like that. I don't think these guys were sprinting around and then sliding and firing at the enemies. If they were getting down, they were hitting the deck. Like, they were hitting the dirt, and that makes sense for the dolphin dive. So dolphin dive is back. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments. It's definitely a legend in Call of Duty, so it's kind of cool to see it back. Anyway, next up, we have what appears to be some semi-destructible environments. Now, I don't think this is Battlefield Levolution style destructibility that we're talking about here, but it looks like we could have some little areas, almost, you know, kind of like Call of Duty Ghost. You guys remember Ghost with, like, the logs you could shoot down and the different areas you could breach and stuff like that? I think we might have some stuff like that based off a couple of these clips, which is kind of interesting. That sounds pretty fun, something a little bit different that we haven't really seen in Call of Duty recently, so that could be cool, and it could give us, you know, opportune flank routes and stuff like that if you want to go out of your way to, you know, kind of explore these parts on the map. Next up, this clip right here, I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on at first. Like, when I first saw it in the trailer, I was like, what is he doing grabbing his weapon and, like, turning the barrel? But it appears that he's attaching a silencer. What? Yes, you guys heard that right. So you guys can see in the first part of this clip, when we first see the grease gun, he's running around firing and there's nothing on the end of his barrel. Now in this section, he grabs something out of his pocket, he clips it on the end of his barrel, and then what do you know? He now has a silencer, a suppressor. What in the world? That's pretty cool, man. So we could have removable attachments in this game. It might just be the suppressor, it might be other things as well, but that's pretty cool. So, you know, if you're in a situation where you know you're gonna have long-range gunfights and it doesn't really matter about being sneaky, you can keep the suppressor off, have that added bonus range, and just go to work. And then when you wanna get a flank on and sneak around the enemy team into their base, you can put your suppressor on, so you're gonna be harder to locate. I think that's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see how they do it, because I don't know if this is a feature just available with the base suppressor attachment, or is this something that you get access to as a reward, or, like, you know, as a part of a certain division or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but it looks good. And we could see this with a couple of other types of attachments too. I know they had bipods back in the day, so you might be able to set up bipods on windows and on the ground and stuff like that to be able to reduce your recoil. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, we were talking about the lack of optical attachments back in the beginning of this video. There weren't really a lot of weapon attachments in this era, and it's going to be interesting to see what Sledgehammer does, if they kind of push the boundaries of realism a little bit just to give us more, you know, customizability, or what they're going to do there. And I'm sure we're going to find out more about that today. Now, moving on to the next thing, we're almost done. The 8th thing I wanted to share with you guys is this right here. This is a quick look at one of the female soldiers in the game. So you guys know they did say that females are going to be a playable character in the multiplayer. Some people were upset about that. I don't see it as that big of a deal. It's fine, man. Whatever. I think it looks like she fits in here in the game. And one thing that was really interesting is her outfit. So she totally has a medic outfit on. She's got that giant rucksack in the back. I think I see a red cross on there. She's also got that white tape around her sleeve that was a sign of a medic. So does that mean that we're going to have medics in the game in multiplayer, kind of like we do with single player? I don't know. I mean, you guys know in single player, if you need to heal, you don't do it automatically. You need a medic to come pick you up. So there could be some, you know, benefit of having a medic on the squad in multiplayer. Not really sure how that's going to work out. It could also just be a straight up character customization special type of uniform. So I don't know. I found it kind of interesting. I think she's the only medic I saw throughout this entire trailer. So I don't know what that means, but I noticed it and wanted to point it out to you guys. Now, moving on, the second to last thing we have here is right towards the end of the trailer. We have a bayonet attachment on an STG. So this is interesting. Back in Call of Duty World at War, the only weapons you could put a bayonet on were the bolt-action rifles, and now it looks like we're going to be able to put them on assault rifles as well, which is cool, I guess. I don't know. The bayonet's cool. It results in very unique and interesting kills. We did see a bayonet charge earlier in the trailer, and it looks like it's pretty powerful. It's definitely going to extend that melee range a little bit. Is it going to be worth it to, you know, equip that over something else? We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like it is on the assault rifles. And then finally, last but not least, the last thing I wanted to mention to you guys is war. So everything after this section right here in the trailer was about the new game mode, War. It was a major section of the trailer in general, and I kind of wanted to point that out to you guys. A lot of people were confused exactly what they were seeing and what, you know, was multiplayer, what was War, what was Division, stuff like that. Pretty much the entire second half of the trailer from that point forward is War, and this is the new attack and defend story-driven type mode where you have multiple objectives and you are kind of, you know, either pushing through trying to get to the end or trying to stop the other team from going forward. Kind of like Safeguard, but a lot more in-depth and a lot more just absolutely insane. So in this particular War mode, I'm assuming they're going to be, you know, different maps and different objectives and stuff like that. It looks like you are leading a tank through a certain path, and that's where the tank comes from in this trailer. Is this tank a straight up drivable vehicle that you can find on the map and get in and run around? I don't think so. I do not think that they're going to have tanks on the actual multiplayer maps. I think we saw this tank just as a part of one of the objectives of the War game mode. So a lot of people were freaking out about the tank, but I don't think it's too much to worry about. So there you guys have it. Just 10 things I found that were pretty interesting in this trailer that weren't, you know, really on the surface. You kind of had to think about it a little bit, but I thought it was pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Does this trailer have you more hyped for Call of Duty World War II? Is it exactly what you were wanting? I mean, what do you guys think? For me personally, I think it looks really good. I think it's beautiful. The graphics look great. They're not the best ever, but they look really good. I love the color tones and just the grittiness and the, you know, we saw a little bit of gore in there, and it just, I don't know, man, like it feels like we're back. It truly feels like we're back when I first watched this. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to be playing the game today, so make sure to look out for other videos hitting your sub box later this afternoon talking about the game, maybe showing you guys the game. I don't know yet, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace out.